Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got what some would consider something a little boring, but something I haven't done in a while, where I actually get into the components on this thing, on a computer I should say. Today we're upgrading my youngest's processor and boot drive. I upgraded mine not too long ago, so I'm repurposing my 850 EVO from Samsung. It's a 250 gig. She only has a 120 gig, so she's upgrading on that front. And also bought for her a while ago and been meaning to actually review this, the AMD Ryzen 5 1600. It's the AF. It's technically the Ryzen Plus or Zen Plus, but with the first gen Ryzen programming code or whatever. Yeah, I bought this a while ago. I was meaning to review it because I bought it specifically for her computer. But I'm just now getting around to upgrading. So, going to be tearing this apart. I'm going to be cloning. There's software out there that you can use, especially with Samsung. They've got the Samsung Magician software. But in this case, just to make it a little easier so that I'm not trying to fight with getting a monitor in here and a keyboard and mouse, I am going to be using this device right here to clone the drive. Since I'm going from SSD to SSD, I don't have to worry about it. In some cases, when you're trying to go with an operating system on a hard drive to an SSD, you don't really want to clone it, because then you're going to end up with some speed issues and some settings issues, because you're going from hard drive to SSD. But in this case, I'm going from SSD to SSD, so should be no problem. It'll just be an exact copy, and then I'll be able to just plug and play everything again, and everything will be good. I don't know if I'm going to show every last little aspect of this. I'm going to try to show as much as I can, because you do have to, when you're upgrading a processor like this, you do have to take the cooler off. So maybe you bought a pre-built and you want to upgrade the processor, you will have to take off whatever cooling solution the pre-built has. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through that a little bit here, so bear with me. So first thing to do is we're going to lay this on its back, and we're going to take the screws out for the glass side panel. I did a little bit of cleaning up on this before I started the video, but I'll try to do this as much as I can to show you guys. How simple it is to change out a processor. Carefully set the glass panel off to the side. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to carefully remove the clip holding there we go. Now stick the fan off to the side. Now mind you, this one's got the RGB fans, so, and yes, I know it's got two unmatching fans up here, but it's what I had. Plus these aren't really ever seen, so now comes the time to remove. I'm trying to remember how the hell this. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I want to remove these 4 screws instead. Alright, I need a different screwdriver. This one's a little. You don't want. You want to go crossways. You don't want to remove them all the way just yet. You just want to loosen up by halfway. I showed in the previous video how to install this cooler. My daughter and I went and installed it. And trust me, it was a pain in the butt in her old case, but it should be a little easier to deal with in this case. That's one of the reasons why we upgraded her case to begin with. Alright, so we got the cooler loose. Just want to make sure, yep. Preferably without dropping. And there goes the back plate. And carefully twist that off. And of course we got the fan cable coiled up around the cooler. Take the screws out. So we're going to need to retrieve the back plate to this thing, because I forgot it's not attached to the and this is why you have to clean out your computer every so often. Now we have nice access back in here to the processor. Now what I like to do is I like to clean off the processor before I take it out of the socket, and for that we use 91% alcohol, because I can't seem to find 99%. So, find a nice clean spot on our rag. I like to use a microfiber, so that way I don't get lint and little paper fibers all over. This may not be a bad idea to clean this up anyway. It looks like there wasn't a whole lot of thermal paste on this thing to begin with. And there we be. Nice and clean. The reason I went with the 1600 AF is because she's got a B350 motherboard. So I figured, you know what, so I don't have to worry about microcode issues. Just go ahead and swap out to the 1600 AF. Come on. You want to be very careful so you don't bend these pins. So that is why we are getting the old box out, so we can put it right into the box. And there we go. So, out with the old, in with the new. And you can tell it is brand new because I have not even broken a seal. It is a virgin box. There we go. Now I don't need to use the box cooler that comes with this, so I could if I wanted, but since she's already got a good cooler, I am not bothering. Stick that out the side so I can get this out. And voila. And as usual, when putting in a new processor, you want to look for the little triangle on the corner of the PCB, which is right there. You want to match it up with the little triangle on the socket. So, very carefully just as simple as plopping that sucker down. And now all we gotta do is lift the sucker up. Oh man, there's way too much dust. Give everything a quick wipe down on the side. We don't live in that dusty of a house, but you would be amazed at how much dust something like this can accumulate. So, there we be. At least for the time being. Alright, I'm gonna pause here for a few minutes and then be back with the removal of the SSD and the cloning of it. Alrighty, I would have skipped over this part, but many people ask, how do you put on the thermal paste? So I'm using today the Corsair, I'm using Corsair's TM30, if you can see that. And all you really have to do in order to apply this, I've got a cardboard box about the size of the cutout on the back of the motherboard tray to help hold the back plate up out of the way, so that way I can then get this. Now usually what I just do is I just do about a spot about the size of a pea right in the middle. About like that. No more, no less, because when you go to put the cooler on, it'll it'll spread and cover the main part of the die that you need to worry about. So now comes the cooler. So, because I want to try to, I'll wrap that around later. And if you don't believe me about it, the spread, now, you know, it might not hurt to put just a tad bit more on. Key is you can't really put too much, well, you can put too much on, but the key is to not put too little on, because then you won't get a proper heat transfer from the processor heat spreader to the cooler. So let's try this again, trying to line up the screw holes and not succeeding with a damn one so far. Hey, what do you know, I got one. I like to just screw it down enough till it's touching. This is not as easy as it looks. Again, screw down till it touches. Damn it.
got to have the unsteadiest freaking hands today. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Just touching. And one last screw. Imagine trying to do this with the fan cable wrapped around. Oy. Now we have one more. Try to drop down carefully. And now we can go ahead and tighten these up. And yes, I use multiple screwdrivers in my endeavors, just because it makes life so much easier. Now these are screws that you can take down until they bottom out. Because the threads only go so far. The spring tension that is intended to hold this down at the proper tension is actually in these bars right here on each side of the cooler. So therefore, tightening the screws up until they bottom out is the proper amount of tension. It is preferential though to not tighten them up to the point where you end up stripping the screw heads out, so you can't ever get a screwdriver in there again. So there we go. And while I was busy off camera, I took the SSD out already. So now the next step is to reposition the camera. Well, of course, actually the next step is to put the fan back on, preferably with the fan cable not in the damn way. Now this is the one part I really don't like, and I'm going to do it off camera, is clipping these stupid clips to hold the fan on. They like to fight. So I will be back when I get ready to clone the hard drives, or clone the boot drives. And we're back. So got the SSDs put in. Because of the arrows going this way, I've never actually gotten this thing to work right, because I can never seem to put the right drives in at the right time, and you know, to try to clone, because for some weird reason this thing only works when you have a bigger drive in this slot versus the one that the information's coming from, so that's the only way you can clone. So we are going to give this a try. Turn the power on. And it's got lights indicating that both of these are installed. So let's go ahead and... Alright, looks like I was able to get this thing to start working after all. And I just have to give it time. It's blinking at 25% now. It'll go up to 100%. And then once it reaches 100%, it is done. And then I should be able to take this drive out, put it in her tower, and it should boot up just like it was booting from this one. So it's just a matter of giving it time. Okay, so looks like we're cloned. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to turn the power off. Pop this out. I've got a cable that allows me to hook up hard drive, or well, basically a drive via SATA to USB. So I'm going to double check real quick on my computer, make sure this is reading exactly the other drive. Bingo! Got everything from this one over to this one. So now we're going to reinstall, or well, we're going to install this one and then pick back up in my youngest's room with booting the computer up, because with the new processor, the BIOS is going to have to reset itself every time I've ever replaced a processor. It always does it, where it has to reset all parameters, and then you got to go back in and re-overclock the processor, or sometimes you got to re-overclock the processor if you had an overclock going. You got to reinitialize the XMP, or what the hell is it, DOCP, or whatever the hell, for the RAM. So back in a few with that. Okay, and we're back. Final segment of the video. Moment of truth. Did the processor go in okay? And it's probably going to power cycle a couple of times, but here goes nothing. Because of putting the new processor in, the BIOS is going to change. So it's going to boot loop a couple of times, cycle through. It's probably asked me to go into the BIOS. Yep, see? Device change, CPU or memory, CMOS has been cleared. Please enter setup to configure your system. F1 to run setup. So we go into F1. Now, because of changing the processor out, it now requires me to go back in, because she's got DDR3 3000 or 3200 memory. I think it's 3000 from it's our Corsair Vengeance LPX. But this is where we're gonna have to, because you can see right there that it is running basically baseline of 2133. So the nice thing I like about MSI, I hate ASUS's UEFI. It sucks. Nice thing about MSI, you just come in here, turn, and for some reason the mouse does not want to. Okay. Now let's try memory. Looks like we need profile 2. That's for some stupid reason. Alright, is there a better advanced F7? There we go. Let's see, settings. Oh. Escape. OC. There we go. Profile 1. Alright, we got the different, let's go down to, I know what. Yeah, let's just go into yep. Profile 2, 2933, that seemed to be what worked before. So let's go. reset. See if we'll go into Windows. Of course, fans are ramped up as high as possible, but there it goes. It's going into Windows. And of course my daughter's, you know. So now what we do, restart anyway. And we're gonna hit delete. So that way we can get back into the BIOS and make sure we got it, everything dialed in the way we want. Ta-da! And we were running 2933. Let's go over here and turn OC Genie 4 on. So, alright, so basically, that's it. Memory is running like it's supposed to. Let's see, escape. Mainboard settings, let's see if we can do something. Sorry about that, camera battery went out. So anyway, we got the BIOS working properly, we got the XMP turned on. We're running 2933, even though it's 3000 megahertz RAM. First gen Ryzen, even though the new processor I said was Zen Plus on the previous, yeah. So it's the AF 1600 AF, but she's now running 6 cores, 12 threads instead of the 4 core, 4 thread that she was running. And yeah, so now we just go up here. Now it should go right back to Windows again. Not only that, but once it actually boots up into Windows, the fans should come down because I got it set for cool and quiet. Okay, that was weird. Y'all saw that, right? I think it's because I turned on OC Genie. But obviously, seems to work. So now my youngest can enjoy a faster, more powerful computer. And obviously she's gonna have to turn the volume down. But I don't know what her login is, so she's just gonna have to do that herself. So, there you have it. I know it was kind of a boring video, but if you still liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If not, you know, just move on, whatever. Subscribe, because we really could use the subscribers. So that way I can bring you a little bit more interesting content than this. Go down and hit that bell button, get notified next time I upload something. And see y'all in the next video.